Come on, baby, light sharks fire. Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby. Come on and light the fire of the Sharky this afternoon on a Sunday here. November, 13, November 12th. Dude, all my bills are falling behind now. Close to going to a homeless shelter. Me, Clark the Shark. The rent in California is $3,500 a month. I wonder what the rent was back in 1967 when this album came out, or 1966 when this album was recorded. This fabulous, amazing album, baby. Oh yeah, you knew Clark the Shark had to review The Doors, the debut album from this incredible band. And I am not the biggest Doors head, you guys. Everyone knows that. I'm not one of those guys that's just bowing and rolling on the ground at the feet of the Lizard King as he wears his leather, I admit it was weird how just out of nowhere the guy could sing. His dad was that guy in the military, and he grew up kind of, his mind was just twisted or something, or he had this lonely old soul inside of him. There was a poet, poetic genius, and tortured and angry and sad and miserable. And, eventually, he had to do drugs and alcohol like we all did and do. We all went through a phase, and then luckily some of us got out of it. But unfortunately for the Lizard King here, Mr. Jim Morrison, he never made it out of it, you guys. He would die. That's right. He'd pass away at age 27 in 1971. Just another member of that stupid club, as Mrs. O'Connor would call it. That stupid club, man. 27. Some people, like Keith Moon, made it to 31 or 32. There's some that made it further. There's people like me, Clark the Shark, that are 58. You can't figure it out. Back in the 90s or 80s, I probably should have been dead, one way or another. Certainly with alcohol, maybe. But, and I can say that for a lot of people around the South Bay, Redondo, Torrance, Some of them are gone, like my brother Paul from the Jades, my brother Bert, people just fucking around, getting high or whatever they were doing. I don't know. But getting high seems to be a thing in the South Bay. And it is the center, and then the world sort of evolves and revolves around getting high. In Redondo Beach, Torrance, Hermosa Beach, where we are all huge fans of the Lizard King, me, Clark the Shark, I'm much more into other shit. And I don't know why I don't give the Doors more listens and more scrutiny. I'm not even sure if scrupulous or scrutiny are different words, or if they apply here. More of a critical look, observation. Now, in my younger days, back when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, in 1981 or 1980, they put out this Doors Greatest Hits, and I was just 15, and I knew about Light My Fire and those songs, growing up. The classics from back in the 60s. But I kind of, the summer of 80, 81, I would listen to a lot of Doors, and learn about all their albums. And I was like, cool, But just like Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin or AC/DC, I get kind of sick of the shit that everyone likes and everyone is supposed to like. And that's how I moved and got into stuff like Genesis or, Brian Ferry or stuff like that, or other shit. I didn't want to be like an everyday average Doors, Lizard King guy down at the beach, smoking weed and weaving poetry on the sand. But who knows? Maybe me, Clark the Shark, I was wrong to not get more into the Doors. Now, that being said, I got really into this band. It's just that there's this boring thing about them. There's this quality about the Doors where they don't have that thing, to me, Clark the Shark anyway, that the Who has. For me, the romance of the Who smashing their gear and Keith Moon smashing everything or breaking hotels or filling Cadillacs full of shaving cream or diving into an empty pool, or the Who are all on acid at Woodstock and they suck and yet it still sounds really good, or at Isle of Wight, the Who just something doesn't sound right, like they're out of tune or Keith is way too fucked up. And yet there's something about the Who that the Doors will never have. There's something about the Who that David Bowie and Led Zeppelin and the Stones will never have, or the Beatles will never have. I don't know what it is why I love the Who more than everyone else. It could be because of the Who sell out, Armonia, City in the Sky. I don't know, you guys, or why I like some bands way more, but I should love the Doors way more, because when you break down the Doors, there is high quality here, baby. The Lizard King, of course, his vocals, just the baritone, low end, and the poetry and the genius muse, and the whole world was the muse of the Lizard King, you guys. But Ray Manzarek on keyboards, like Tony Banks from Genesis, and others, Keith Emerson, anyone, or dude, I could go on and on with great keyboardists. Rick Wakeman, come on, from David Bowie and yes. But there's something about Ray Manzarek where he's just fucking amazing. Awesome. And he seems so old-fashioned, almost like he's from the 1920s or something, just tweedling around on some old organ, and yet he makes it sound modern and fascinating. And then, of course, later on, he would, delve into synthesizer and shit and mellotrons and all this shit way before anybody, or at least so it seemed. The genius of Ray Manzarek, the keyboardist, the keys, baby, amazing. But you can't forget the drummer, John Densmore. Incredible drummer. He's no Keith Moon, but he is definitely a Ringo, baby, and beyond. One of the greatest drummers ever that there is, John Densmore, and yet he doesn't really get, when you think about drumming, you don't just think about John Densmore really quick, you guys, and yet you should, because the guy's awesome. And Robbie Krieger, come on, man, the Doors wouldn't be the Doors without him. Guitar genius, playing an SG, kind of like Pete Townsend or Tony Iommi or, Jimmy Page. But in some weird way, his guitar communicates better than other guitar players. This genius, Robbie Krieger, who writes a lot of songs, and he really goes perfectly with the Lizard King. The incredible deep low-end vocals. Put it all together, these four guys are all completely different, and yet they are completely the same and one, and they gel into one harmonious, atmospheric, melodic sound that really captures 1967, yet this was recorded before that, people, in 1966. This is music so good that even Lou Reed has to like it. I don't care if he did or didn't. How he fucking hates the Beatles and he hates everything. But on this album, I don't give a shit what Frank Zappa, Lou Reed, or any of those guys say. I don't even care what Pete Townsend says. The Doors are in a world all their own, where they are entirely doing their own thing, and yet they are at the top of the Billboard charts, ruling it where they belong, because incredible songwriting that is catchy atmospheric. Everything you love about the 60s is right here, and yet they're going to the future. There's something ahead of their time about the Doors, and yet sometimes they fall behind the times and they do some old hokey sounding 60s song on Morrison Hotel or LA Woman, and you're like, why are they doing, L'America or something? And then you realize only the Doors sound like that, you guys. They have this thing that is so all their own that they do it and they have to keep doing it. And it's just amazing, incredible, you guys. The Doors. I don't want to do this review and talk about this band. It's not one of my favorite bands, and yet I keep coming back to them and going, damn, they were fucking awesome, just for Ray Manzarek alone, or maybe Robbie Krieger alone, or maybe even John Densmore's fucking awesome drumming, or the Lizard King. Dude, I don't know. I like the Who more, you guys. I like the Who Sell Out more than anything by the Doors. I like the Who Tommy more. I'm just fucking weird like that. And yet when I sit down and listen to the Doors, I'm like, these guys blow the fucking Who away. Fuck it. They blow Cream away. They blow the Beatles, Sgt. Pepper away. They blow everybody away, dude. They blow the Rolling Stones, their Satanic Majesties away. And in that, you get kind of bored and you're like, well, I'm sick of the Doors. They're really great. And every time they step up to the plate, they don't just hit a home run. They hit a fucking inside the park grand slam, standing up, not even sliding at home plate, you guys. And in that, you're just getting sick of the Doors. You're like, they're always great. They're so fucking great. It's boring, They're always fucking amazing, you guys. Every fucking album is psychedelic, atmospheric. Look at this fucking place. Dude, a very fucking important building in the history of rock. Look at these geniuses. Look at the Lizard King and Ray and Robbie and John. I mean, they're so good, you just get sick of them. You take them for granted. You're like, all right, yeah, blah, blah, the Doors, they're great. So what? Give me something that's not so great so I can sit there and root for it and make it great. With the Doors, you don't have to do that, you guys. Right out of the box, these guys are already fucking great. And yet, that being said, there's something boring and drabby and morose or just sad about them that you get sick of too. And dude, I lost all power just now. It just went dark right here on the Clark the Shark show. Who knows, maybe there's a nuclear war, we had a power outage or a tsunami or a hurricane. But my Doors review has ended unexpectedly as the whole lights have gone out here on the Clark the Shark show on this Sunday. Or maybe I just kicked the button on the panel, the surge panel. I knocked out the computer. But the Doors, you guys, first album, all of it, Soul Kitchen, Alabama Song, Light My Fire, of course, dude. The Crystal Ship, on and on and on, you guys. One of the most incredible albums, and I want you to buy the Doors at Spotify, Amazon, iTunes. If you're just 23 years old right now in 2023 and you were born in 2000 or 2001 after 9/11, I want you to buy the Doors' first album just for the Crystal Ship, Soul Kitchen. Dude, the whole fucking album is incredible. Love Me Two Times, that's on it, I think. That might be on the next album. I'm not sure, you guys. But the Doors' first album, the debut, Here in the Dark, where the lights went out on Clark the Shark and we had like a fucking power outage. Maybe there's a nuclear war right now. Maybe Iran launched the big one because Israel is bombing the shit out of Gaza. And I'm not saying Gaza deserves it. Those terrorists who flew in on paragliders, or, they came paratrooping in and just shot up a music festival in southern Israel near Gaza. And me, Clark the Shark, dude, when you fuck with music, people are just dancing, having a festival. Or who knows, dude, maybe like you could have bombed a festival with like the Lizard King, Jim Morrison at it, dude. If you terrorists do that, you better get everyone out of the city and sound the air raid sirens, because we are coming for you, terrorists. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show, 1-800-449-8255 from the fabulous golden EIB Sharkraphone. It's a Sharkraphone, you guys. It's not a fucking microphone. Mere mortal men speak into a microphone. I speak into a golden solid Sharkraphone, you guys. And it's not broadcasting. Don't ever call my show broadcasting. I want you to call it sharkcasting, because that's what it does right here on the Sharky Show, where I just really gave you the only review of this atmospheric, psychedelic keyboards, guitar, amazing drumming, amazing singing by a genius. No training. He just knew how to sing right out of nowhere, dude. The Lizard King, Jim Morrison. I don't think he ever took a vocal lesson in his life. I could be wrong, but he took no lyric writing lessons either. And he writes incredible poetry. But it's almost like he can't outdo the other three guys in the band who are so important in the overall sound of the Doors, you guys. In the first album, incredible, you guys. So good, it's like boring. You're like, dude, it's like the Beatles or something. You're just like, all right already, dude. Doors, you're good. We get it. But give it a chance over and over, dude. I know that some of you out there are like me, Clark the Shark, and you're not the biggest Doors head. You love them, just like you love the Beatles or stuff like that, or the Rolling Stones. But you need to go back and analyze them even deeper and re-observe every album by the Doors and the way this band evolved, and check them out. People say as they go, their albums get worse and worse. I disagree. I like the Soft Parade and everything. Right here on the Clark the Shark Show at 1-800-449-8255 on K-Shark Radio Darkness, where the lights went out and it's all black, baby. Black as night, right here on the Sharky Show, where the lone shark is at the microphone in the dark, all alone, so alone. But listening to the Doors in the dark, you guys. And I want you to listen to them too and buy this first album. And I'm out of here, people. Peace.